This morning, 4 Israeli hostages are back in the arms of their loved ones after a dramatic but deadly rescue mission by the Israeli Defense Forces in central Gaza. Among the rescued, Noah Argamani. The 26-year-old had become one of the symbols, the human faces of Hamas brutality. Noah was seized on October 7th from the Nova Music Festival, terrorized, thrown on the back of a motorcycle, and taken into Gaza. And this was Noah on Saturday, reuniting with her family for the first time in 8 months. Israelis cheering the news of the largest rescue of hostages since the terrorist attack in October. But the rescue left a devastating toll for Palestinians, with more than 270 killed in the mission, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. It comes amid ongoing negotiations for the release of all the remaining 116 hostages, including 8 American Israelis, as part of a larger ceasefire in this deadly war. ABC News foreign correspondent James Longman has spent months in Israel since October 7th, covering the war and the hostage families, and gives us the dramatic details of the rescue and the reunions.
Israel is celebrating this morning. 4 hostages rescued, the agonizing wait for their families over. But the cost of their freedom enormous. Hamas says more than 270 Palestinians were killed in the operation, nearly 700 injured. Among the 4 rescued, 26-year-old Noah Argamani, the young woman kidnapped on the back of a bike. The fear on her face was gut-wrenching. She was driven away by Hamas militants as she reached out to her boyfriend, Avinatan Or. He too dragged away, his fate unknown. Now, nearly 8 months to the day, Argamani is free, seen here reuniting with her dad and her family. The emotion overwhelming. She told Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a phone call, "It's been so long since I heard Hebrew." Also freed, 27-year-old Russian-Israeli Andrei Koslov, who was working as a security guard at the Supernova Music Festival. 41-year-old Shlomi Ziv, a husband of 17 years. And 22-year-old Almog Merjan, who'd just finished serving in the Israeli military and was set to start a new job when he too was kidnapped.
I'm happy that you are here.
I spoke with his mother, Orit, and uncle Aviram, just weeks after he was taken hostage. She said Almog called her as the attack unfolded.
There are rockets and shooting all over. I'm hiding. I don't know what's going on. I'll call you every half an hour. Mom, I love you.
This was the last phone call.
The last phone call.
She didn't hear from him or know if he was alive until this video began circulating. It shows Almog held captive, frightened, at times covering his face. That fear now gone. Almog now safely back in Israel, Orit holding him close. But his father not getting that chance. Israeli media reporting that tragically he died just hours before Almog's rescue.
Thank you for bringing my son to me. I'm so excited that I could hug him today.
Israeli Defense Forces say intelligence targeted 2 locations in central Gaza weeks ago, where they believe the hostages, codenamed Diamonds, were being held. The 3 males kept in one apartment, Argamani a little more than 200 meters away in another. Israeli Special Forces had mock-ups of the building, practicing the raid. At 11 a.m. on Saturday, in broad daylight for the element of surprise, the launch was a go. At 11:25, the soldiers were on the move. With the rescue underway, airstrikes pummeled the city. The 2 locations penetrated simultaneously, facing gunfire in one, an Israeli killed in the raid, but saying all 4 hostages, each loaded into helicopters, free after 8 months of hell.
This was a high-risk, complex mission based on precise intelligence.
But the human toll of the rescue is now raising serious questions. The mangled bodies of men, women and children covered on the ground outside the Al-Aqsa hospital, the injured crowding its halls. One woman saying 2 of her cousins were killed, 2 others seriously injured. They didn't commit any sin, she says. They were sitting at home. Israeli officials say Hamas purposefully shields themselves within the civilian population, but the United States has repeatedly called on Israel to do more to protect ordinary Palestinians. Hamas says 37,000 have now been killed since October. But Hamas is still holding 116 hostages taken on October 7th, a third of whom are believed dead. Prime Minister Netanyahu vowed Saturday to bring them all home.
We're committed to getting the release of all the hostages, and we expect Hamas to release them all. But if they don't, we'll do whatever it takes to get them all back home.
Martha, this was one of the single bloodiest Israeli assaults since this war began. And as talk of negotiations continue, the fundamental problem remains. Benjamin Netanyahu says he wants to bring all the hostages home, but at the same time says the war will not end until Hamas is destroyed. And he's facing immense political turmoil. There's widespread public anger about how he's managed this war. His war cabinet is in danger of falling apart, and that will mean sustained pressure from the Israeli extreme right. Martha?
Our thanks to James for that report.